Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
San Diego County leaders say we are flattening the curve, but there is still work to be done. Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Hunt, and to date, the county has reported 1,930 cases. 83 of those are new from yesterday. The county also announced that 6 more people have died, bringing the region's death toll to 53. There is good news as more than 680 people have recovered from the disease locally. Nationally, more than 45,000 people have recovered. Today, the governor began laying out his plan for reopening California's economy when the time is right. We'll have more details on that in a minute. And here in San Diego, our leaders are working with the governor to help shape those plans. My co-anchor Steve Atkinson is tracking that from his home. And Steve, they're giving information, but not an answer to when this may happen.
Kim, this is the million-dollar question they get asked every single day. When we will be able to reopen and get back to some sense of normal? Supervisor Nathan Fletcher said they simply don't know yet. That is the honest answer, but they hope to have a better idea for a timeline as we approach May. What we do know is this reopening will be gradual. Things will look very, very different, and we won't be back to normal for a long time.
The reality is our way of life will be different for a while. We will come back. We will get through this. We will make progress, we will rebuild, but it is really important that we do it in the right way and that we do it in the proper way, and that's not only important for the life and health of our residents, it is important for the life and health of our economy to have a sustained rebuild and a sustained pathway out of this. So we will continue our coordination with the state of California along with our internal efforts in these 6 core key areas.
Most of these updates from the county are data and fact-based, but there was an interesting anecdote today from Dr. Eric McDonald, who works with the county. He was talking about how we're reacting in comparison with this epidemic in comparison to what happened with the 1918 Spanish flu and how his grandmother lived through that. He talked about a conversation with her and how she said that more people died from the epidemic, the Spanish flu, than World War I, which was happening at the same time.
She said nobody knew anybody who died in the war, but everybody knew someone who died in the epidemic. And that always struck with me. And I think if we think about what we're doing now to keep the curve down and to sacrifice the way we have, it's so that, frankly, our kids aren't going to be telling that kind of story to their grandkids at a future date.
And there's a great deal that we learned from that virus back in 1918. Much like today, the businesses closed, schools closed, a lot of people wore masks, and a lot of people stayed home. And like Dr. Eric McDonald was talking about, much we can learn from that, avoiding the deadly mistakes that took place back in 1918. Kim, back to you.
Yeah, we can't get out and about too soon. Thank you, Steve. After moving hundreds of homeless from shelters into the convention center, San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer says the city is now making progress on the next phase, getting people off the streets.
We are taking that outreach effort directly to folks who are still on the streets, people that need that help and the support, and maybe people that sometime had been resistant to some of that help and the support. But because we've seen some of those other resources dry up, having that convention center open, having those teams out there saying we have a place for you, a clean, safe place where you can come in, get food, get meals, showers, get the resource you need to get back on your feet. That convention center beacon is more important now than ever.
And since this began on Friday, they've moved 68 people off the street. The convention center can house 1,500. All of them are screened by county public health nurses. California now has 23,000 confirmed cases with 758 deaths statewide. LA County just saw its largest single-day increase. Its total number of deaths rose to 360, with more than 10,000 cases confirmed. California's governor is outlining a framework for reopening the economy. 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco explains the 6 key indicators that will help decide when the stay-at-home orders can be loosened.
Tina Romano owns STP Bar and Grill. Like so many others, she wants to know when she can fill these tables again.
Part of it is the unknown. Everybody's wondering how long is this going to last.
Governor Gavin Newsom did not answer that question. Instead, he laid out 6 goals that need to be met before any restrictions are lifted. They include expanded testing, preventing infection for those most at risk, assurance that hospitals can handle surges, development of therapeutics, a plan to maintain social distancing at businesses and schools, and a way to quickly reinstate stay-at-home orders if needed.
But this phase is one where science, where public health, not politics, must be the guide.
The governor says California is bending the curve, but we need to move forward cautiously.
We are not out of the woods yet, and we are not spiking the ball. But we also extend a recognition in that light that this can't be a permanent state. And I want you to know it's not.
But the governor says business as usual is a long way off.
Normal, it will not be, at least until we had herd immunity and we have a vaccine.
Newsom is working with the governors of Washington State and Oregon. He says other Western states may join the regional effort. Rachel Bianco, 10 News.
And the governor also says the prospect of mass gatherings is negligible at best. In the last 90 minutes, President Trump announced he is ordering the U.S. to halt funding to the World Health Organization. He says the organization severely mismanaged and covered up the spread of the coronavirus.
The WHO failed to investigate credible reports from sources in Wuhan that conflicted directly with the Chinese government's official accounts. There was credible information to suspect human-to-human transmission in December 2019, which should have spurred the WHO to investigate and investigate immediately. Through the middle of January, it parroted and publicly endorsed the idea that there was not human-to-human transmission happening despite reports and clear evidence to the contrary. The delays the WHO experienced in declaring a public health emergency cost valuable time.
The U.S. contributed $553 million to the organization last year. President Trump says he would like to get the country up and running again in May, but he'll be consulting with governors and health experts. ABC's Inez de la Catera explains why those experts say lifting restrictions too soon could be dangerous.
President Trump today meeting with Americans who've recovered from the coronavirus and now vowing to work hand in hand with states over when to reopen the economy.
And I'm going to be making a decision pretty quickly, and it's being done in conjunction with governors. We have tremendous support from governors.
Trump's comments marking a reversal from his position just yesterday.
The President of the United States calls the shots.
That argument prompting some governors to fire back.
We don't have a king in this country.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo vowing to defy orders that would push him to reopen his state too quickly.
I am not going to fight with him. I don't want, this is no time for any division.
Cuomo also forming a coalition with the governors of 6 other states in the region to decide when to collectively reopen their economies. On the West Coast, the governors of 3 states doing the same. The president calling those efforts a mutiny. Trump had been pushing to reopen the country by May. Today, the top infectious disease expert on his coronavirus task force calling that proposal overly optimistic.
Ultimately, the virus is going to determine when we really can safely reopen, not only in general, but in a particular location.
Meanwhile, some good news today, with some Americans starting to see those direct relief payments hit their bank accounts.
I was very excited because now I know I can take care of a few more things that I had to put on the back burner.
The White House is also promising continued support for small businesses, but warning that program will likely run out of money by the end of the week. The administration has asked Congress for more funds, and they're still negotiating those terms, but Congress won't reconvene until at least May 4th. Inez de la Catera, ABC News, Washington.
Stocks rose today as investors considered signs that states were beginning to plan for reopening parts of the economy. The Dow Jones gained 558 points to close just under 24,000. The Nasdaq went up 323 points. The S&P rose 84 points. Today is the last day for small businesses to apply for San Diego's relief fund. Many are now waiting to see if they're going to get any help. And as 10 News reporter Melissa Masiha explains, more options may be on the way.
Have you guys been here before?
We've covered Sean Harris's Serpentine Cider before, roughly a year ago, when it was broken into. Fast forward to the present.
It's just me.
We're interviewing Sean again, and once again, not under the best circumstances.
All of my employees are laid off right now.
Now his business shut down, and like many others, he's applying for whatever relief he can during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I've applied for everything that you can think of.
He's one of more than 9,000 businesses who have applied for San Diego's Small Business Relief Fund. It provides roughly $6 million to help businesses in need. Monday, the city announced private donations from several businesses added $300,000 more. Sean applied right after it was announced.
The website crashed and was very difficult.
On the city website, it directs you to the San Diego and Imperial Small Business Development Center if you need help with the application. The assistant regional director told me they've assisted roughly 150 businesses with this particular loan, answering a variety of questions.
People don't realize that you do have to be in the city of San Diego or city of Chula Vista, and they don't know exactly where some of those boundaries are. Some people didn't realize their business tax certificate, which is basically the business license for the city of San Diego, had expired, which made them ineligible.
But Daniel Fitzgerald with the Small Business Development Center said there are more options on the way. That includes nonprofit lenders getting ready to roll out their programs. Financial assistance from this loan will range from $1,000 to $10,000. Sean hoping he'll get something because right now, any little bit helps.
You wait and see. You hope that you did everything right.
Melissa Masiha, 10 News.
Right now, the San Diego Unified School Board is laying out the framework for online grading beginning next week. The district says progress reporting periods are suspended. Final grades will not be lower than the grades issued before schools closed. The school board is considering a number of other policies to manage grading. All students who can access online learning are required to participate. Meantime, the district is expanding its school lunch program. Starting next week, the 7 meals in 5 days plan to help provide food for students on weekends will expand. Every Thursday and Friday, students will receive an extra breakfast and an extra lunch. Visit 10news.com for a list of the distribution sites. 3 Southern California churches claim the stay-at-home order violates their First Amendment rights. They're now suing Governor Newsom and Attorney General Javier Becerra in a fight to reopen their doors. The lawsuit claims the state is criminalizing church attendance. One pastor in Riverside County was fined $1,000 for holding a Palm Sunday service. The San Diego County Fair is officially postponed until 2021. The event has been up in the air, and for weeks, and all of March and April events at the Del Mar Fairgrounds were canceled. The fair was supposed to begin June 5th. Today, the governor made it clear that large gatherings will not be held this summer. The board decided there will not be a fair this year either. Your voice, your vote. Today, former President Obama finally endorsed Joe Biden for president. This was the most anticipated endorsement of the Democratic primary. It comes as a top super PAC backing Biden released a new ad targeting President Trump's coronavirus response. In his endorsement, Obama applauded the experience of his former vice president. He also touted Biden as the right candidate to lead the country through this health crisis.
Joe helped me manage H1N1 and prevent the Ebola epidemic from becoming the type of pandemic we're seeing now. This crisis has reminded us that government matters. It's reminded us that good government matters.
Just yesterday, former Democratic candidate Senator Bernie Sanders formally endorsed Biden as well. There's a growing push to allow COVID-19 testing in cannabis labs, but many in the industry are fighting back. Why one local lab says it will put customers and employees at risk. And medical supplies snatched from a nurse's car, the sentimental item that vanished with the essential ones in the middle of a pandemic. Plus, how you can look for jobs and how that could determine your next step. 3 tips from an expert job coach for people looking for work.